Tensions continue to grow in the Middle East, where Iran-backed groups are continuing to target American bases. And the U.S. is reportedly planning further retaliatory strikes. U.S. airstrikes seemingly failing to deter Iran's allies as Iraqi militias are targeting a Syrian base.
That strike near a U.S. base in Syria killed 6 of a U.S. allied militia, the group said. This latest strike underscoring the challenge Washington faces and its goal of keeping the conflict in the Middle East contained. Ian Bremmer is a founder and president of the Eurasia Group and G0 Media and author of the J-Curve. Ian, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate that. You say America had to retaliate in a real way to the drone strike that killed 3 American soldiers in Jordan. So in your opinion, did the U.S. retaliate, as you say in your words, in a real way last weekend?
I don't think the retaliation is over yet. I expect we will see further attacks. It's very clear that those attacks by the U.S. are larger in scale and also in scope in terms of hitting Iranian military capabilities on the ground, though not in Iran itself, than anything else the U.S. has done. So it's a clear escalation in response to the nightmare scenario of U.S. servicemen and women getting killed in the region. But it is absolutely inadequate to deter further Iranian military support and intelligence for their proxies in the region, or to deter, as we've seen, attacks by their proxies against U.S. bases. You know, the Biden administration is trying to have it both ways. They don't want a war against Iran directly. They don't want the economic or military consequences that would bring, but they are trying to deter. And essentially, I would say that the overt level of caution that's been shown, the fact that they waited for a week, that they telegraphed to the Iranians and their allies in the region what they were going to do before they did it, helped to ensure that you didn't have direct war, but also help to ensure that nobody's panicking or getting deterred.
You know, we were showing that map of the U.S. military presence in the Middle East. And of course, we've been following the reports that several of these bases have come under attack. So keeping that in mind, talk to us about the strategy behind maintaining troops there, should any come back home based on the instability in the region.
Well, you pull troops out in response to these sorts of attacks, and it's going to seem as if you're ceding the landscape to a bunch of terrorists. And that seems like an incredibly weak move to make. So even if you don't like the idea of American troops being on the ground, and there are well over 45,000 troops in the region, but this would not be the time to pull them out. That's a display of weakness. Having said that, you know, the hope that the Biden administration has is really not in ending these strikes through the counterattacks. It's really that they have made progress together with Qatar in trying to get more Hamas-held hostages released in return for what looks to be a 4-week ceasefire. And if you can get that, that is going to prevent these attacks in the Red Sea and against American troops while that ceasefire is ongoing. And then the hope is you're able to extend it by creating a political and security environment in Gaza that might reduce the scale of the attacks that we've seen since October 7th. That's what they're hoping for. The first step is plausible. What comes after that is much more difficult. If this was a gymnastics move, you would say the degree of difficulty in sticking this landing is very, very high.
Ian, how do you discuss the topic of war in this moment? And watching what's happening within the Middle East, you've seen these U.S. installations attacked now almost 170 different times. Now you have 3 service members dead as well. There's a lot of talk about proxy wars. How would you describe this situation right now with the United States and, again, Iran-backed militias?
That the United States is in war indirectly with the Iranians. The Iranians are not ordering these attacks, but the Iranians are providing real-time military capabilities and intelligence to all of these radical groups who do not have huge stockpiles. So, in other words, if the Iranians were to cut them off, that would have a material impact in reducing the attacks against the U.S. bases. The Iranians aren't doing that.
you.